I wanted to talk about this topic because I've recently given advice on this topic. I felt like I wanted to inform more people on how I deal with breakups. It's quite a vague thing, and I feel like people get a lot of things wrong. So I'm just going to give you some advice from my perspective. Obviously, yeah, this is directed at men, but if you want to take advice, if you're a girl, then just she did this, she did that, or her. Just replace it with he. You know, whichever way you swing, you get me, you do you. So I've been in a few relationships. After breaking up with those people, I've fallen into like bad habits. So like I've been in isolation, just being in my room all day. I fell into laziness, like I stopped doing all my good habits for like some of these periods that lasted like a good 5, 6 months, which is a long time. That's half a year of just not really doing much just because of one person and one relationship. And these periods would, infect all my friends, my family, it'd affect my workplace, my studies. Yeah, they really weren't good. So it was important for me to come up with a way for me to process things, especially the way that my mind works. I like things very granular. So I like things being explained to me down to the T. So that's why I'm creating this video for people who might be like me, who can't really find that advice anywhere else. For example, when I usually ask for advice, or when people ask for advice on breakups and stuff, it's usually always, oh, just distract yourself or keep yourself busy. Honestly, I find that advice so shit. It's not exactly direct. You're not saying exactly what to do. And, if you're new and experiencing a breakup, then you're not really going to know what to do. So you can't really go off your own intuition. And also, like, you're not really going to feel like doing anything anyway because you've just broken up. So for someone to tell you to go and do something when you clearly don't feel like doing it, it doesn't really make sense. Like what you don't want to do straight away is like start distracting yourself with things like partying, women, or drugs. Like that's just not going to get you anywhere, especially when if you're on a path of self improvement, you don't even want to do those things anyway. So when people give that advice, like I just don't. It just doesn't have any value to me. And also another thing that I want to point out is you do not want to jump into another relationship straight away because first of all, your mind is going crazy, and you're experiencing all these emotions. You don't fully want to just put yourself in a position where you're with someone else straight away because there's a lot of emotions that you need to feel right as you've broken up with someone, and there's a lot of reflection that you have to do too for your improvement and just for clarity too. And I think it's good to see what you've done wrong in a relationship and what they might have done wrong too. We're quick to blame others, but having some humility and looking at yourself and being like, okay, I could have done that better, I could have done this better, that will help you become a better person. Now if you do find yourself in a breakup, or you're in a breakup right now, the first thing that I want you to do is just accept that you're going to be out of the loop for a bit, out of your routine. You're not going to be doing all these really good habits right as you're going through this emotional time, this emotional process. And the key thing is just accepting that you're not going to be pumping out all the work that you usually do, accepting that you're not going to be putting in 100% because you're going to have a lot to think about, right? It's very effective for me to just sit there and journal about everything in the relationship. So talk about how the relationship ended, the mistakes that you made, the mistakes that she made, what you can improve on. You want to fully reflect on your relationship so that you can make sure to move on in the lessons too. Because, especially in your early life, you're going to experience really bad relationships because you don't really know what you're doing. So take this time to like analyze what went wrong, what went right as well. Maybe if you were a bit too clingy or you didn't communicate well, then you reflect on that, and then you can become better for your next partner. Call whoever you need to call. You'll be experiencing a lot of different emotions around this time, so it's important that if you have a really good friend there, or maybe a family member who you can open up to about stuff like this, then I recommend talking to them. Spend some time in solitude, like just sit in your room for the day. Take some days off work. Just give yourself that time to just process everything and heal. Main thing to do is just sit there and just breathe. Just sit there and breathe. Journal everything down. the good times, the bad times, your thoughts about the relationship, your doubts. If you're the one who ended it, maybe you're, recollecting, thinking that you made a mistake. Just journal everything down and fully process that. A main thing that I want to emphasize as well is make sure that everything that you're writing down is everything that you need to write down. So once you've written down everything, you don't look back at the situation or you don't journal again about it. You close the book, that's done. You understand what I'm saying? You don't want to carry on journaling about the same shit that you've been going through. You want to write down your whole experience as a whole, reflect on it, journal it, reread it, find out the mistakes that you've made, improve on yourself, get everything on the page, and then just sit there and just do nothing. Like, literally just do nothing. I know it sounds stupid, but your mind is going through so much right now that you can't actually comprehend. So you trying to put yourself in a situation where maybe before the breakup you were going gym like 5 days a week, 7 days a week. There's no way you're gonna match that energy now, right? If the relationship was serious and you really like the girl, then there's no way that you're gonna be able to compete with that version of yourself who doesn't have any isn't going through a crazy emotional experience right now. Like that is truly not possible. And while you're in solitude, experience all the emotions that you need to feel, right? While no one's there. So, you can cry if you need to, just be there with your emotions, feel everything, try and be mindful and just breathe and just think about exactly the way you feel. Make sure you get good sleep that night and just get used to the fact that you won't be able to text them in the morning like as you might do, or you might not be able to call them in the night as you usually do. Now, this advice that I want to say right now is very important, and if you don't listen to it, then you're not going to get over it as well as you could, right? You need to block off everything, okay? Now, don't fucking cope. You need to delete it off fucking everything. There's no value in you seeing photos or videos or like hearing her voice ever again. Okay, so block her off fucking everything. I do not give a fuck. You need to get rid of her, especially if you're ending this relationship and you're done with everything. You need to fucking stand on business, right? You need to fucking get rid of her on everything. If you have mutual friends with her, like they're kind of friends but they're not really, then fuck them off. Block them as well. Unadd them. It's calm. Don't try not to deep it. It's just a random person. It's not gonna hurt their feelings. They probably won't even notice, right? If they're friends that you have mutually, but they're actually good friends that you want to keep on, then just get their phone number, right? And unadd them on Instagram or Snapchat or whatever. What I had to do for one of my previous relationships, I was friends with one of her relatives. So I messaged him and I was just like, yo, bro, I was just wondering if I could get your number because, me and so have stopped talking and I still want to keep in contact with you. So what's your phone number? And I'm just going to unadd you on, unadd you on Instagram. And like, that's fine. And he gave me his number and like, it's chill. But you do not want to see your face ever again. Obviously, if you're in the same town like I am, then it is what it is. You could try your best to not run into it. Don't stop doing you though. Don't stop doing the things that you're doing though if you're gonna cross paths with it. So maybe like if you have this same gym membership or something like that, or you work in the same place, then yeah, that's a bit different. Maybe switch gym if you can, or get a new job if you can. You know what I mean? But yeah, you want to try and minimize the opportunities of you seeing her on the street as you're just chilling, because otherwise that's going to bring all them thoughts back and all those emotions are going to hit you again, and we don't want that. We want you to grow from this situation. That's why I'm making it such a prevalent part of this video, because a lot of guys cope and they're like, oh no, because maybe something can happen later on, or they're just too afraid to make the decision. But trust me, I'm saving you so much time. Remove it off everything. I do not care. Okay, remove off absolutely everything. It's better for you. I trust me, it's better for you. And of course, if you have to, like, go through your Instagram and delete the post with her, go through your camera roll and just delete every photo, like that's fine. Just get rid of everything so that you don't see her again. So just to recap, process it all 100%. Cry if you have to. Journal everything. Reflect on what you've journaled. Take your time to just be out of routine and sleep good and try and chill. Just try and do your best to just challenge every day as it comes, rather than trying to jump back into this crazy you know David Goggins routine. Like, that shit ain't gonna work. So just take your time and accept that you're gonna be, you're not gonna be doing too much for maybe a week or 2 weeks. You're not gonna be doing too much. You're gonna just be chilling, or you're gonna be spending more time with family, or you're not gonna be on the mark as you usually are, right? And if any thoughts end up coming back as you're dealing through this, then just acknowledge the thoughts. Feel them if you can. Just breathe in and just think about them and feel them, and then just forget about them. Try your best to put a lid on the situation. See, now this is where I suggest to just distract yourself or keep yourself busy, right? I like that term more. Yeah, so keep yourself busy, right? So what I mean by that is, make plans with friends. Do things that you enjoy. Put less pressure on being such a productive autist, right? Like, just chill. There's something you need to hear this advice. Just relax, right? Just, yeah. So just do things that you love. If you feel like doing productive things, then do them, but don't put too much pressure on the thought of doing them. You don't have to do anything. You're going through an emotional thing right now, so the best thing you could do is process it, because you don't want to be working on, let's say you're working on your business and you start thinking about this girl. Like, it's not going to be good for the business, like, long term. You got to think about it. Like, you need to spend time working on your mind palace, and once that is set and once that is calm, and you're not feeling a certain type of way anymore, then you can start getting back to the work. Or you know maybe like you're doing something more creative, where like your work might be art. So doing art can be a good reliever for stress. So you could do stuff like that if it feels right, but don't put too much pressure on doing these hyperactive things, like maybe going gym, or like you can go gym like 1 to 2 times a week. Like, that's fine. Just don't put too much on your plate. It's okay to just take a few days off or a few weeks off. Like, it's fine. It's fine. Long term, it's better for you, because you can end up like how I was, where I took 6 months out from doing anything productive because I was so mentally fucked up, and I didn't actually have a set plan for when I move on from a situation like this. So I was really confused. And just a reminder, like, things do get better. It might not seem like that right now, because you're probably being a bit of a pessimist. You're thinking quite negatively. But I assure you, there's 4 billion women in the world and there's 4 billion men in the world, right? There is someone else out there for you. I promise you that. Like, there is a girl out there who matches your standards to a T. She's actually perfect for you, and she is out there. You just have to be optimistic and keep working on yourself, doing your thing, and you will find someone better than that girl. And I know it's hard to see from maybe your perspective right now, because you're going through something as harsh as this, but there is always someone else, right? If like they're either at her level, or if not better. Okay, like, in my prior experience to relationships and stuff, I've had it where I've ended things, and I've had regrets, or like I've had guilt for the situation. And I look back at my time with the girl, and I'm like, damn, like, I wish that I was still with her, or like, I really miss her. Or even then, like, you could have situations where you look back and you're like, damn, she was a bitch. Like, why the fuck was I with her? Like, that was a horrible situation. But you don't have to think so negatively. Like, sure, you missed the girl, or sure, like, she treated you wrong in this scenario, but having a more positive outlook, I feel like, is better for you. For example, with the last girl that I was with, like, sure, I'm sad that things ended. Um, this ended a while ago, but I'm sure, like, I'm sad that things ended, but I can still look back on the situation and on my like chapter with the girl, and still be like, damn, like, I'm glad that I met that person at that time, and I'm glad that I had those experiences with her, because I'm grateful for that. And looking back on my relationships, I'm grateful that I had every single one, because they've built me up to get to the point where I've worked on myself and learned a lot about myself just by being with them. And without them, like, I wouldn't be in the position I am right now. You could think positively about it. Like, sure, things aren't what they are right now, but you had that time with that girl. and it's just past. Like that's just how it is. Sometimes you're just moving in different trajectories, right? You might be on the same path for a bit, and then you might just pivot, but that's okay. Like you might link back up again. Do not rely on that, right? You don't want to just be thinking, oh, we might get back together, but it's okay. You know, you've went off the path, right? You've went down a different route. That's okay. That's just how life is, right? And don't put too much pressure on moving forward so quickly about the situation. Like you will feel bad. You're gonna feel physically off, and your emotions are gonna be going crazy because it's the equivalent of like an Ironman or like 100-mile marathon, right? If the relationship meant a lot to you, then it, you're going to be going through a lot right now. You know, like if you done 100 miles, like if you ran 100 miles, and then the next day you were trying to train legs, like that's not happening. Or you're going to try and train anything, like it's not happening. You need to rest. I know it's not as direct. Seeing the fatigue from something like running. Obviously, you're going to feel it in your quads, but it's the exact same thing. Your emotions, feeling all those emotions at the same time, is like you being sore from an 100-mile marathon and you need a week or two to rest. It's okay. But yeah, overall, just surround yourself with the right people too. Um, and things will get better, you know? Like things definitely will get better. It's just a matter of time. I hope this advice has put more emphasis and more detail into the things that you actually have to do when going through a breakup. Again, like I've asked people before in the past when I've been ignorant and not know what to do in this certain situation, and a lot of the advice is very vague. So I haven't really understood exactly what to do. But I hope I hope you have a better understanding now. And yeah, that's the end of the video. I miss recording a lot. I really do. So I want to start making more videos again, which I've always said. I'm always going to say that. But I actually do want to. I just want to come up with more ideas that you guys enjoy. So like maybe you want a video on how to actually break up with someone. Like actually initiating the breakup with someone if you're maybe having doubts about the relationship and you want to end it, how to go about it in the most respectful and gentleman way. Oh yeah, of course. Happy International Men's Mental Health Month. All my boys out there, make sure you're doing good. If you ever need to reach out to anyone, you can always reach out to me. My Instagram is the same as my YouTube, so restay. If you ever want to message me about anything, you got any problems, hit me up. Men's mental health is a big issue, and we need to put more focus on it. So anyone in the comments, if you have anything that's bothering you right now that's not a part of this video, then leave a comment and I'll try and get back to you. But yeah, we need to be more out there for each other, man. And there's definitely not enough emphasis on how men feel in this day and age, especially on social media. I'm sure that you guys have all seen the stuff, right? But we need to be there for each other. Like majority of suicides are men. I know that. Um, this shit's fucked up, and all we could do is just be there for one another. So if one of your boys is going through something, or you feel like your boy's head might not be mentally right, then send him a message, give him a call. Like we need to be there for each other. But yeah, leave any video suggestions in the comments because I'll definitely read them and I'll definitely do anything. Literally, you can read it, you can put anything down there as long as it's not crazy, as long as it's not like outlandish, and I'll fucking do it because yeah, I fucking love this shit. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one.